Star Trek 3 is the most epic Star Trek movie. It's underrated, but you already know that. It's definitely better than these. In case you need a refresher, Spock is mostly dead. Dr. McCoy's got Spock's katra in his head, and Savik's got Spock's cock in her pussy. The crew of the Starship Enterprise must violate Starfleet orders to bring Spock's body and soul to Vulcan so that stuff can happen. Now let's analyze this movie for plot holes, trivia, and other Star Trek stuff. If any of you Klingon bastards want to chime in, comment below.
Klingon bastard.
This is Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock.
Spock.
Therapy. The movie opens with Spock's burial photon tube on Genesis. It reads Mark 6. The name Genesis is a biblical reference. Mark 6 in the Bible refers to the resurrection of Jesus' BFF, John the Baptist. So if Spock is John the Baptist in this allegory, then that makes...
Oh my.
Back to Earth, Admiral Morrow mentions the Enterprise being 20 years old.
Jim, the Enterprise is 20 years old.
That's accurate if he's starting with Kirk's first tenure as her captain. Personally, I like the conjectural notion that she launched in 2245 under Captain Robert April, thus making her 40 during the events of this movie. It's not a mistake, it just would have been nice seeing the animated series officially accepted as canon. We're told that no one but the science team is allowed to visit Genesis.
That no one but the science team goes to Genesis.
Apparently, this exclusive science team that he's referring to is David Marcus and Lieutenant Savick. Previously, she was a junior lieutenant wearing a red collar, but now she's somehow a command officer wearing a white collar. She's also assigned a top secret science mission despite having no technical knowledge on Genesis at all.
I have no knowledge.
At Kirk's pad, Sarek shows up and asks, why the f haven't you brought Spock's katra to Mount Seleia on Vulcan?
You must bring them to Mount Seleia on Vulcan.
Kirk has no idea what he's talking about despite having found Dr. McCoy in Spock's quarters earlier in the movie ranting about Mount Seleia and Vulcan.
Mount Seleia. Mount Seleia. Mount Seleia. Mount Seleia. Mount Seleia.
Even if Spock or Bones didn't mention anything about needing to bring his body to Vulcan, you'd figure Savick would say something. She's Vulcan after all, and was there when his body was shot into space. Admiral Kirk could have asked his son or Savick to keep an eye out for Spock's body since they were the only two people allowed access to Genesis. Instead, he decides to steal the Enterprise and go there himself, which is probably the worst thing they can do since they're not trying to call attention to themselves. Elsewhere, Krug watches Star Trek II on VHS and wants his own Genesis device. Let's break down what he does once he gets there. They walk around for an entire day without doing anything. Okay, maybe discovering the secret of Genesis doesn't involve gathering any actual data or samples from Genesis. Science might not be their thing. Okay, their plan is to take some hostages. That's perfect, because you got the creator of Genesis right here. He's got all the secrets they're looking for. Oh.
David is dead.
Well, scratch that plan. A Federation battlecruiser arrives that outguns them 10-1.
They outgunned me 10-1.
But that's not a problem since they have their cloaking device on. Everything should be fine as long as they don't uncloak right in front of her and sit there completely vulnerable to her attacks. On a side note, later, while initiating the self-destruct, Scotty identifies himself as Commander.
Computer, Commander Montgomery Scott.
Even though he's been promoted to Captain earlier in the movie.
Report there tomorrow as Captain of Engineering.
They use the same code sequence that they used in Let This Be Your Last Battlefield.
Code 1, 1A, 1. Code 1, 1A. Code 1, 1A, 2B. Code 1, 1A, 2B. Code 1B, 2B, 3. Code 1B, 2B, 3. Code 0, 0, 0. Destruct. 0. Code 0, 0, 0. Destruct. 0.
Anyway, Krug and this dude are still on the bird of prey. Kirk and crew are defenseless on the planet's surface. He could fly down there and make him Shatner his pants. Instead, he beams down there alone with a gun he does not use. He's defeated with a shot to the nards. Shatner's double drops a flying body splash. He tries to cling on, but it doesn't work out. Then they hijack the bird of prey and head to Vulcan. Anyway, Spock's back now, and I hope you Klingon bastards have found this educational.
Klingon bastard.
Check out these other Star Trek videos if you want, and thanks for watching.
Klingon bastard.